Today on Pickleballers, we have a very special episode. Beth Bellamy, top-ranked 50-plus women's pro with 99 medals, alongside pickleball legend Scott Moore, a 21-time USA Pickleball National Champion, the Beast.
I won my first round, and then I was scheduled to play Billie Jean King on center court.
I found my calling. I'm actually going to be the best senior in the world.
We've had a lot of guests on. I haven't heard anyone being in the sport as early as 2011.
From 2014 to 2018 into that, I lost one match with
You're the original Annalie Waters.
There is only one player in the world that has a winning record against Annalie Waters, and that is me.
You know, I had played once with my family in Florida. I'm like, I don't really love this ball. Like, if I want to hit the ball, I want it to bounce normally. Like, this is okay. And I got up there, and I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest.
What do you hope that people take away from this amazing sport as it keeps growing?
Don't ever forget it's all about the relationships.
All right, today on Pickleballers, we have a very special episode. I'm honored to have my mom, Beth Bellamy, alongside pickleball legend Scott Moore. Beth is a top-ranked 50-plus women's pro with 99 medals, including multiple U.S. Open and national titles. She's also the co-founder of the National Pickleball League. Before pickleball, she was a top-ranked 25 WTA tennis player who competed in over 25 Grand Slams with wins over legends like Martina Navratilova. Scott Moore is a 21-time USA Pickleball National Champion, 12-time US Open winner, and a 2023 Pickleball Hall of Fame inductee known as the Beast for his playing style. He's also the co-founder of Pickleball Trips. Guys, welcome to Pickleballers. Thanks for being here.
I can't tell you how inadequate I feel as a pickleball player right now after that list of accolades.
We've been doing this a long time, so that's one of the secrets is start early.
I will say it's also unfortunate that I'm not the most successful Bellamy and that there's clearly one super high achiever here, and that's my mom.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yep.
Thanks for being here,
Honored
guys.
to be with you guys.
I remember when I first got into the sport, I was watching old school videos of Kyle Yates and Dave Weinbach and you, Scott. And so I've known about you for a long time. It's awesome to finally get to meet you face to face, Beth. You're one of my favorite moms out there, one of my favorite humans out there. So yeah, excited to have you all.
Thank you
Thanks
so much.
Honored to be here.
I obviously know a lot about my mom. And, you know, I did the nice little humble brag before kind of stating your accolades. But we'll start with you, Mom. We always ask our guests how they got here. And part of that is just taking us through how you got to pickleball and how you were able to achieve these things. Obviously, I know these things, but I think for the rest of the world, they want to know, how'd you get here?
Oh, gosh. Well, to pickleball specifically, or did you want...
Just your story.
Let's start back in Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Pre-Roscoe.
Pre-Roscoe.
Long pre-Roscoe. Okay, so yeah, grew up in Ohio. Originally, my sport was tennis. Parents were amazing, really supported us, my two sisters and I, getting into, sports, which was, a little different back then. And not a lot of my friends, a lot of them were cheerleaders or different things, but so I felt really lucky to be involved in sports. And then I just, luckily, through Ohio, there were so many great coaches that came in, and between, just the support of my parents and having a lot of good players around, and then amazing sports, one of the people, amazing coaches, Tim Gullickson was like a random coach. He coached Pete Sampras, for instance.
Tennis legend, yeah.
Yeah, so, and then
he was in Ohio?
He was in Ohio at our club, where we started playing. Wow. So got to have him as a coach, and then a guy came down from Michigan who was, had taught tons of national champions when I was getting a little bit more into it. So throughout, growing up in Ohio, I was just really lucky. And then also, I think I just really got the bug because I saw you could travel through tennis. And so I'm like, okay, wow, if I work really hard, I can go to this cool trip in California. So I'm like, send me to the practice court. And that was really the carrot for me to kind of get out there and do better. And by the time I was, about 15, I was getting pretty good. And there weren't that many tournaments in Ohio compared to California or Florida. And so I started playing some pro tournaments for practice. And it just all really, the stars aligned.
At 15?
At about 15, yeah.
Wow.
Which it's not that unusual for you to start being pretty good at that age. I mean, if you think about it, back in the day when I was playing, I think Chris Everett probably won the US Open when she was 16. Tracy Austin was #1 in the world when she was 16. So people usually, they kind of could get very, very good in their late teens.
When did you realize, wow, I'm really good at this? And also, how competitive was it kind of globally and even in the States compared to what it is now?
A lot of the pro tournaments were more in the States. Now it's a little bit more global. So I did like traveling, but I would say now it's super international. You cannot stay home like in the States. That's one thing I do like about pickleball is that it's, although it's international, if you don't want to go, there's so many tournaments in the States. But so basically just kept working hard in tennis and got to, by the time I was the top, at the end of juniors, which is 18 and under, was one of, basically the top girl in America, and got to represent the U.S. at, junior Wimbledon, junior U.S. Open, junior Italian, junior French. Even got to go to Australia when I was like 15 or 16 to represent the U.S. So that was super fun for me, and it made me want to, even do more. And then, like I said, when I started playing some pro tournaments for practice, when that kind of spurred me on to even more playing, because I think after about 6 tournaments, I came on at about 95 in the world, which was really hard to do, but a little bit more common back then. And so, just by the time I went to college, I was top 100 and had gotten to the quarterfinals of the US Open in doubles as an amateur, and like the 3rd round of US Open and the French as an amateur. And, basically missed trying out for a sorority when I was going to USC on a tennis scholarship, because I was at the US Open playing like 3 weeks of juniors and the pros, and then headed right to school. So probably these days, I don't think people would go to college if that were the case. If you're top 50.
Chance, yeah.
Yeah. So
I would say if you're top 100 in America on the WTA or ATP, you're for sure not going to college, and you're making a great living on the tour. That's like the standard. If you can get top 100, that's really hard to do.
You said that you missed sorority rush.
Yeah.
Is that, I'm just curious, as an athlete, were there regrets kind of going this path and not getting to do some of the stuff that maybe some of your friends and peers were doing?
Well, I think it's really interesting. I was so lucky because a lot of kids started going to like academies when I was like a teenager, and because of all the great coaches, and again, just I had a very normal life. I went to regular school, no like correspondence or whatever they call online school. And even until I started missing school for pro tournaments, like a lot of my friends really didn't even know like what the whole tennis thing was. I mean, I played on my high school team, but then I would go play pro tournaments. And so one time I was playing a pro tournament and I qualified and had to play like Martina 2nd round. And that's when, I got kind of news in the paper, and people were like, oh, Beth's missing school. I was 16 and she's down in Cincinnati playing some tournament, and like,
so you're almost like living a double life where like people you go to school, people have no idea that you're this accomplished tennis player.
Right. No, I really didn't want to be out of conformity with my friends. Like it was like, I wanted to be like a regular kid, and I didn't even have to practice that much. I mean, it was, we played indoors a lot of the year in Ohio, and I think I got really good habits because we didn't have courts all day. So we put in the work and then we were done. It was like, go back to regular school, regular life. So
one thing I want to add just about my mom in general, something that I wish I had is like, she has this ability to hyper focus on whatever she's doing. Something I do not have. Like I'm definitely more sporadic, and kind of the ADD kicks in a little more, right? Like it's sometimes I'll get these lapses of focuses. When she's doing something and she has a goal, like there is nothing in her way that will stop her from getting that goal. And I think, obviously I wasn't around back then, but just hearing these accolades and these accomplishments, that's what allowed her to do it at this level. And you can't do these type of things unless you have that trait.
And then from there, I mean, you had some huge matches in tennis. Can you tell us about some of those?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I think probably one of the first highlights that I had was, so basically I went to school for 1 year, was top 50 by the end of that year, had played some pro tournaments even during the school year, won NCAAs, our team won NCAAs. So, but in about March of that year, even before NCAAs, I had decided that I was going to turn pro. I really just got encouraged by my family. They're like, this is cool. Like, you're not going to have, who has these opportunities? So, even though they were really big on education, we kind of made the decision together that I was going to turn pro. And so about 3 weeks after NCAAs ended, I was at Wimbledon. I guess maybe I can't remember if that was the first time I played the main draw, but I'd played juniors and won junior Wimbledon doubles the year before, so I'd been there. But I won my first round, and then I was scheduled to play Billie Jean King, second round on center court, which is pretty crazy. I don't think as a junior, I played on court 1, but we didn't get to play on center court. So another former pro, Virginia Wade, who was like number 1 in England and I had become friends with, she's like, go out and look at the court. Like, go when no one's there, like the day before, and check out the court, just get used to it. And it really helped. It's weird. Like, it's just like very calm. No one's there. It's very peaceful. So
Smart advice.
yeah, it was really good
it's really
advice.
good advice.
And so anyway, again, 3 weeks in, I go out, I win the first set. Billie Jean's won 21 titles at this point. Like, she's, singles, doubles, mixed. She's, I think, one of the most decorated Wimbledon winners. And I felt pretty good. I mean, my thing is, I didn't really feel that nervous about playing her, even at Wimbledon, because this is what I had been training to do. And so, I felt pretty comfortable. But anyway, she comes back, wins the second set. And then I get down 5-3 in the third. I come back to 6-5. So now we're playing for like 3 hours at this point. And then she ends up winning 8-6 in the third. But I was on for 3 hours on, it used to be called Breakfast at Wimbledon, HBO Breakfast at Wimbledon. And it was kind of a big thing in the States. And I had signed, with IMG a few weeks before. And so it helped me get my, my clothing contract, my racket contract in Japan, was with Yamaha. So ended up going to Japan like 15 times in 4 years for them. But it really kind of set me on my way and kind of was a big break-in for me. So
Was that your biggest match in tennis, would you say? Were there other?
No, that was one of my first big matches. Gosh, I don't know what the biggest one would be, but winning, beating, I guess, Martina, when she was in her dominating phase, she was number 1 in everything. My partner and I, in mixed doubles, we beat her in the quarterfinals of the French Open when she was the top seed, got to the semis of the French. So that was probably one of, the best known accomplishments, I would say.
Roscoe, have you heard that DoorDash is now an official partner of Pickleballers and the Kitchen and the title sponsor for MLP?
Dude, I literally use DoorDash every day. I had them deliver pickleballs to my house the other day. It's incredible.
You can get the most random stuff on there. We just ordered a USB charger. Didn't you order like a Labubu or something like that?
Dude, I got dog treats for my dog Bubbles. I mean, he loved it.
And we're doing a giveaway?
One commenter on this YouTube podcast is going to get a $500 gift card from DoorDash.
All they have to do is comment on the podcast.
All you have to do is comment on the podcast and you can win a $500 gift card from DoorDash.
And get a Labubu delivered straight to
You
your
can
house.
get a Labubu, dog treats, muffins, whatever suits your needs.
Use DoorDash. Scott, how did you get here?
Well, really all started when I was probably 6 years old. My father got me a ping pong table for Christmas, and we played countless hours of ping pong. When I was growing up, a couple years later, my mom dragged me to the tennis court at our country club and taught me how to hit a tennis ball and started playing. So I ended up playing junior tennis in Texas, a joke compared to Beth's accomplishments, but ended up walking on at the University of Texas tennis team and was the last guy cut. I got beat 7-5 in the third by a guy who made the team, played 3 years, still a friend of mine. I got him into pickleball years later, named Andy Zoden. But anyway.
Sorry, that's how the cuts actually work?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
They
like
had a
a-
tryout.
it's like a
It was
tryout.
and
Wow.
one guy made it. And I was naive enough to think I could make it. Because there was a guy graduating. His name was Kevin Curran. He graduated, went on to get to the Wimbledon final next year.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, hey, there's a spot open, so I'll just go show up and get my spot on the UT team. But didn't quite work out that way. But it was actually a blessing in disguise because I had a next door neighbor who played on the racquetball team, and he kind of taught me how to play racquetball. I ended up, long story short, but going to Japan for 16 years, got into pretty competitive badminton in Japan, not the backyard barbecue badminton that we played in the States, but I mean the real deal, where I was getting beat at 30-something years old by 50-something-year-old ladies. Just, I'm like, what is going on here? They were running me like a rag doll. Anyway, and then came back to the States, couldn't find much badminton, got into squash. So I was kind of a racket sport
Wow.
junkie.
I was
Played it
about
all.
to say, that's
Absolute
insane. I don't
junkie.
think I've ever heard of someone playing that many racket sports in pickleball today. That's-
Everyone at Padel.
Yeah. I even played padel. We had a exchange student from Spain. Went over and played padel with him in Spain.
Wow.
And played with Simone down in Miami when Marcella was playing down there after a U.S. Open one year. So I literally, my happy place is a racket or paddle in my hand. So when I started and was invited to play pickleball, although I thought it sounded like a lousy game, I couldn't resist when my buddy John Foss said, hey, it's a paddle and a ball. And that was my weakness, so I had to try it. That was 2011.
2011.
And up to this point, when you played pickleball, what was your, I guess, favorite racket sport? Like, what was?
You know, I loved them all at the time.
Yeah,
I
there
had
wasn't like a
no, it
shining.
wasn't. I played more tennis than anything, and then kind of got my kids into that, and that's what we did. But I also played, we called it table tennis in Japan with them, and it was a whole different league than I'd seen before. And loved badminton. I loved it was just different seasons. I was playing different racket sports, so it's kind of like almost changing with the seasons, and it kept me competitive, in shape, having fun. I love to compete. It's one of the best things about pickleball now for me is getting to be competitive even into my 60s. And
we've had a lot of guests on, and I would say I haven't heard anyone being in the sport as early as 2011. I mean, I think like 2015, 2016, maybe. 2011 is early on.
Yeah, it was crazy back then, Jared, because actually, 2012, 2013, when I played my first nationals, I would start telling people, hey, I'm a pro pickleball player. And they'd look at me like, dude,
what are you talking
What are you smoking? Yeah. I mean, and then
That still
other
happens
friends were
to me
like,
today, by the way.
other friends would look at me like, I think he's in a cult. Just no one had heard of pickleball. They all thought I was crazy. And now they're like, oh my gosh, Scott.
But there wasn't money then, right?
There was at nationals, one tournament. That was it.
And what was gold? What do you win?
Gold? I think I won $500 for winning, gold, my first gold nationals.
And so, what kept you playing tournaments in 2011, 2013? Like,
it was very innocuous at first. I was like, this is fun, but I just thought it was a little season. I was going through a phase, right? And then my tennis partner, Ken Curry, says, Scott, hey, my brother can't make it to nationals this year. This was 2013. Would you partner with me? And I'm like, wait a minute, there's a nationals in pickleball? You got to be kidding me. He goes, yeah, it's in Buckeye, Arizona. I go, I never heard of Buckeye, Arizona, but let's go. So we go down there, almost got defaulted. We were late, couldn't find the place, show up, lose our first match in 3 games. And I'm thinking, what is going on? I'm going to be down here 2 and out, and this is a disaster. We end up winning 7 in a row, get to the gold medal match, and lose a very close match where we got, called for faults being out of position and foot faults and all this stuff. Could have won it. Lost to actually a fellow Hall of Famer named Jim Hackenberg. But anyway, I couldn't sleep that night. I was like, I found my calling. And I was actually it was a downtime in my life called Empty Nest when Steven had graduated, my youngest son, and gone on. And I was like, what am I going to do without kids? Because we had so much involvement with our kids' lives. But anyway, and it was like, I found my calling. I'm actually going to be the best senior in the world at this.
How old were you at the time?
I was 51.
Okay.
And so to qualify for being a senior pro or a champions pro, you have to be, I believe, 49 and above, or you have to turn 50 that year.
That is correct. And I saw the competition, and I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes, because I knew.
Who were some of the other names? Like, who was Weinbach in the sport at this time?
No. He's like 6 years younger.
Okay.
So he
obviously Dane Gingrich, not even
no,
close.
none of those guys were around. I mean, it was like Glenn Peterson and I were the top guys. Most everybody else, now Scott Lennon and different guys, aren't really playing competitively anymore. But it kind of came down to Glenn and I in every tournament. So we partnered together and started winning. And that was really, really fun to get gold medals and achieve my goal of really being the de facto #1 player in the world at something.
And how long did this reign take place? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you only lost 1 singles match in 5 years.
That's right. From 2014 to 2018 into that, I lost 1 match.
You're the original Annalie Waters.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Or Ben Johns.
Well, let me tell you a little known fact, just because you brought it up. There is only 1 player in the world, as far as I know, that has a winning record against Annalie Waters. And that is me.
Wow. What's the record?
Split age?
1-0, and I'll never play her again. Right? That may be my ultimate claim to fame.
And where was this
at
match?
The U.S. Open. It was 4 years ago. What is that? 2021. She was 14. I was playing with Irina Tereshchenko, and she played with Jose Derisi, and we got him. And I'm like, I'm done. That may
Never again.
That may be
Never
enough
again
for my career right there.
Got it.
funny.
So that's fascinating. So the contrast, Beth, you got into the sport more recently.
Right.
Tell us about kind of how you got into pickleball. And then what I'd like to understand is like what the difference is. I want to hear from both of y'all just based on some of the more OG players that you've played with, Beth, but also hearing from Scott, like what that kind of looks like now versus then. And
Sure. Well, I guess, after tennis stopped, I ended up going back to school, end up going to law school, practicing law for a number of years, had my kids with my husband, Steve, and played paddle tennis during that time as kind of a bridge, which I think really helped my pickleball. That was kind of the fun thing that we did, just out in California. But during COVID time, my good friend Anna Shirley kept asking me to play. She had started getting into it. She's like, come on up and play. I lived next door to her mom, and we had some courts right near her house. And so I was like, I had played once with my family in Florida. I'm like, I don't really love this ball. Like, if I want to hit the ball, I want it to bounce normally. Like, this is okay. But long story short, I basically, just joined in because I would always hear her laughing up there with everybody. So it was so much fun. And I'm like, what are they laughing about? Why are they having such a good time up there? And Jessie Irvin was Anna's coach. She would come over and coach her. She's like, come on up, take a lesson with Jessie. And I had known Jessie from tennis because my kids all practiced with her at our tennis club. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I just didn't know what to expect. And I got up there and I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest. And Jessie was so helpful. And you just could feel yourself learning, quickly, like the nuances. And so that was really fun for me. And then I also lucked out because Anna Shirley and another really great, my partner, Natalie Bagby, who I'd played pro tennis with, they were both getting into it. And so they're like going to play tournaments. And they're like, let's go play these tournaments. I'm like, nah, I already did that. Like, I'm not really looking to go play tournaments. Next thing I know, I'm playing tournaments. Then I meet Rick Witskin, my good friend and partner for the National Pickleball League, and my mixed partner. And he's like, we played a tournament together. He's like, you got to come play all these tournaments with me. And I'm like, okay. And so long story short, I just basically got lulled into wanting to, it's very organized. I didn't realize how organized pickleball was. So there was all these opportunities. And I'm like, well, if I want to go play, I better do it now because I didn't even find pickleball till I was 57 or 58. So
what year was that?
This was, I played my first tournament in June, first pro tournament of June of 21.
Okay,
and
so like the COVID boom is...
Yeah.
Okay.
First regular tournament of April of 21. And then like 2 months later, I'm like, kind of got lured into the pros. And then I just really said, I'm very goal-oriented, as Roscoe mentioned. And so I was just like, if I want to meet my goals and if I'm going to bother to do all this, I might as well just crank it out. So I played a ton of tournaments in 2022 and, did well. And
I will say, I mean, I think I know your family very well, and I know your sons very well, and I think just all the accomplishments that you've had, and similar with you, Scott, I've got to know your kids a little bit. Just the fact that you've been able to raise such amazing family. You have 4 kids. How many kids?
4.
4 kids. And like that, I have 1 kid, and I can't even imagine like accomplishing all of that while raising a family of 4 children. What does that look like? I mean, and all of your kids are like amazing athletes, and like, was that hard, or are you just like, oh, it's second nature? I want
to add, I think actually part of the reason that she got into pickleball, and she might not think like this, but I definitely know it's true, is I went off to college, and I think a couple of years later, Lincoln, my youngest brother, went off to college, and so when she had kids, that was her sole goal, right? Mm-hmm. She was a mother, and that's where she found her accomplishment, and that's where she was able to work at something every single day. And once we kind of went off on our own and became independent, it was like there was maybe this little void that you needed.
It's like
to
Scott,
fill.
the empty nest.
Yeah,
Totally.
exactly.
For
like,
sure.
and so I think a lot of times in senior pro pickleball today, right? That's kind of how they got into the sport is, they were parents and now they have this free time and it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And so I definitely saw that happen with pickleball. It was like the second I went off to college, cause she was like kind of managing my tennis as well for a long time. And now I was off on my own and it was like, she found this whole new life and it was incredible. But I just wanted to add that to the parenting.
And that's so cool. And that's very similar. Not that we didn't miss you guys, but we're having so much fun in our new season of life that it's all good. We could handle the empty nest after that.
What's wild is y'all talk about the 21 US Open. That was your first big tournament?
no, my first tournament was in June. My
No,
first
no,
pro
I
tournament.
believe I said he had 21 U.S. Open titles.
Well, but when was your first U.S. Open?
22.
Okay. And when did I met you in
2023 of
so
February,
yeah,
March.
I was just thinking about like the timeline. I actually, because I went to the U.S. Open with Dane, and you were there as well. I saw you play, and I had heard about Beth Bellamy, and so I always thought that Roscoe, you're the first Bellamy that I knew. It's not true. Your mom was
Yeah,
the
it's
was
true,
the
it's
original
true.
Bellamy.
And I had told her that I met the kitchen guys, and I believe she went up.
She
to,
goes, "Who's that?"
No, she
What
went
is
up to
that?
Jason. she went up to Jason Aspis, who was at the kitchen at the time, and said like, "Oh, like you met my son Roscoe," and he's like, "Who's that?" Like,
I don't know
really,
who
I
you're
met
talking
you.
about.
So small world. Scott, I want to touch on a really there's something that I find really interesting. You raised your family in Japan, right?
That is correct.
How'd that happen?
So I ended up going there during college and taught English at a university. It's called Discover Friends Project. And I found it just to be fascinating. No crime. We could walk around in Tokyo at 3 a.m, totally safe, no graffiti, no trash cans on the streets. I was like,
No
how,
trash
how they
cans.
keep
I was
it
just
so-
there. I can't find a trash can.
Right?
Yeah.
People always, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But basically, just super intrigued, made some friends that I have had for life. 7 years later, I was working for a real estate developer out of Atlanta and joined the Japan America Society. Read their publication, and it said we're accepting applications for graduate school in Japan. I'd wanted to get an MBA. I'd wanted to learn a foreign language. And I asked my wife, would you be okay if I applied for this? So we applied, miraculously got accepted. She had never been out of the U.S., so I had to sell her on, hey, this is only 2 years. You can do anything for 2 years. And so we went over with our 7-month-old little baby boy, Daniel, and thought we'd be there 2 years. But 16 years later and 3 made in Japan kids later, we were still there.
Wow.
The hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, Roscoe, was to bring my wife back from Japan to the U.S. for
Really?
our kids, which we did for our kids. She fell in love with it. We all did. You know, our kids grew up bilingual, bicultural. We traveled all over Asia. It was just an education that I couldn't have dreamed. I mean, we actually went all Japanese, sent our kids to Japanese school.
It's amazing.
Lived in Japanese, neighborhoods, and it was the most just fascinating and rewarding upbringing I could have ever given them, educationally as well.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
The reason, let me answer that one question. They have no trash cans in Japan. Do you know why?
No.
Any idea?
I have all I knew is I was carrying around empty water bottles.
Here's the
whole time.
secret. They don't have janitors in Japanese schools. Guess who cleans the school?
The kids.
The kids.
Wow.
So they just deal with their own trash. They don't expect anyone else to deal with it. If you're on a subway, you have trash in your hand, you take it home and deal with it yourself.
I love
So
that.
that
I mean,
is why there
yeah.
are no graffiti or no trash anywhere in Japan.
I need to go to Japan. I've
It's-
been wanting to go for the longest time. He just went.
I think it's so wild. I went for
That's right,
10
you
days.
just went.
I think it's so wild that your wife had never been out of the country.
Right.
The first place you take her to, Japan feels like another world. Like I've traveled a lot in Southeast Asia, and Thailand and Vietnam. They're super unique, but
Right.
Japan is like completely different.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I want to mention, or that I want to ask you about, is I've heard Daniel is like a celebrity in Japan because of pickleball. Is that accurate?
He actually is. He has a television sponsor with TBS, one of the big 3 broadcasting companies in Japan. And they will feature him every month on a nationwide program. It'll be like he'll have one event in Tokyo where he's playing with a former gold medal table tennis player, a former gold medal badminton player, and the former #1 tennis woman in Japan. And they'll have him playing pickleball and show him. And then the next month he'll be on with some famous movie star on a pickleball reality show teaching her how to play pickleball. And so he has, almost single-handedly taken pickleball recognition from 0 to about 50% now of Japanese have heard of pickleball.
And also because of this, your company Pickleball Trips started. Is that right? It started in Asia?
It did. It started in 2015 or 16 when Daniel and I had both won nationals and people were asking us to come teach them. And Daniel said, Dad, what if we did a pickleball trip to Japan and just took people with us to Japan and showed them around while we, kind of taught pickleball? And I looked at him and said, that's a phenomenal idea, because our passions were travel, pickleball, food, culture, an adventure, and we could combine everything into one. So 13 very brave souls showed up our first year. We did no advertising, we just word of mouth, and they showed up, and we thought we just had worn them out because we tried to show them more of Japan in a week than they would have seen in a month. We were on the bullet trains every day, different city every day, playing pickleball some. And they got home and they told all their friends, this is the best trip we've had in our life. And so all of a sudden, all these people started asking us to take them to Japan and other trips. And
so how many countries does Pickleball Trips go to now?
So now, this year, we will have gone to our 20th country. We're at 5 new ones this year. And we have now done over 100 trips over the past, whatever that,
and there's a Japan trip coming up.
Japan is our most popular one.
Yeah.
About a third of them have been to Japan. And that, yes, we have a Japan trip that I'm leading actually in October. And
then there's one in Thailand in February, right? January?
I think it's January.
I'm trying to get Dane and I to go on that. So
hey, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I might have to join you on the Japan
I'm actually
one now
leading
that I
that
hear
one.
about it. So
Yeah. We take an assistant with us because our company is a boutique. We did a couple big trips, like a lot of companies do, bigger trips. We took 75 people to St. Croix one year and 75 to Ixtapa. But people weren't as satisfied because we didn't get to have dinner with them or go on all the excursions or hang out. So now we consider ourselves a boutique travel company where we take no more than 16. We always have one assistant and one of our family. It's a total family business. My other 2 boys are involved as well. Stephen. Even my daughter and wife, my wife will lead the logistics with me, but they go scout a year before on a new country. So they went to Vietnam for 2 weeks this year and scouted out our Vietnam trip, one of our new countries this year.
What a cool way for the family to get to travel. And,
it's what we love to do anyway, and we were doing before, and now we get to do it with a bunch of guests, and just have the time of our lives showing them culture and teaching them pickleball while we're, just having the time of our lives. So I feel very fortunate to get to do that.
So not only has pickleball given you guys a passion and something to do, after becoming parents and having these amazing careers, but at the same time, you're getting to live out your entrepreneur dreams and create these businesses inside a passion you love, which I think is super special. And I want to bring that to NPL a little bit, which is on your shirt, and the league that both of you guys play on.
And a partner of the kitchen.
Yeah. And then co-founded by my mom, Beth, here. Can you guys tell me a little bit about NPL? Mom, I'll kind of go to you and tell me how it started, because it's kind of become this community for the 50-plus pro pickleball players. And I mean, everyone seems to just be having the greatest time when they're there and part of these teams. Take me through that a little bit.
Sure. Well, after playing so much in 2022, that's kind of when I was really setting my goals on, doing well in pickleball. Rick Witzkin and I played a lot of tournaments together, and our other co-founder, Michael Chin, we were basically talking, and we had seen MLP come along and thought, wow, that looks super fun. Is that going to happen for senior pros or champions pros? And basically by the end of the year, it was clear that that wasn't going to happen. We kind of talked to them and they said, no, go ahead, do it yourself if you guys want. We're full, we're good. And so we're like, great. And so we kind of just didn't really do anything. And then one morning, Rick calls me and he basically says, hey, I just talked to Chicken and Pickle, and they said they'll host all of our events for us next year. Do you want to start this league? He goes, I haven't told anybody about it yet. And I'm like, sure. And I literally had no idea. None of us had a clue what we were getting into. But basically, we got Michael because he's a very good business mind. And the 3 of us just signed players and, made a schedule and said, we'll fund it ourselves if, we wanted to have prize money. And that's really how it started. But we also wanted something a little different than what we had been experiencing in the regular tournaments. And again, nothing against the regular tournaments, but we thought the team aspect and there was this community, like people like Scott, myself, and so many others, we really are all blessed in life. I mean, that was one of the things we all knew. Like, how can you go and play like pickleball tournaments as a pro? Who even heard of such a thing? Over 50 pros, like that's cool. And then adding in the team aspect, but like how fun is that? So we have all these same people, like-minded people living their best lives. And we're like, we need to have this team-oriented event. And the community part of it was just so obvious because we just felt lucky that we were all there. But in the regular tournaments, we never had time to really hang out. We could basically pass each other as we were going to the courts. But if you were in the finals or you did well, you basically had no time for dinner with your friends or whatever. So we wanted to add in that more community and time to socialize. And so with the NPL, we did that. We created a schedule where, basically everybody comes in, they practice the first day, they have the big party on Friday nights, and they ended up being themed parties as we developed. And, down here we had a rodeo and people are dancing, and it seems kind of corny, but it just gets all of us together. And then we got these great team owners that were willing to kind of roll the dice and say, nobody even knew what NPL was. And thank goodness for them. They're like, we're in. And now we've expanded into 12 teams. And, we just it's an exhausting weekend. As Scott and I were just talking about, you play a lot of matches Saturday, Sunday, and everyone's so good and you're supporting your team when you're not playing. So, but it's just worth it, and it's just a really fun time. So.
How many players are on each team?
This year, there are 14 players on each team. 7 men, 7 women.
And it's a different format than MLP, right? Obviously, because there's 14 players.
It is.
But there's different levels, right?
I wouldn't say levels because,
it's tiers, right?
It's almost like college tennis. There's a men's doubles 1, men's doubles 2, men's doubles 3. It doesn't mean that the threes are that much worse. I mean, everyone can kind of play everywhere.
There's levels, right?
They
tiers.
used to be more disparate,
Yeah.
and now you find that my main partner right now is somebody that came out of the combine. I mean, people are really it's getting a lot more compressed.
So you can mix players up and kind of mix and match where you want them.
Yeah, there's kind of a no stacking rule. I mean, there is, because again, before the levels were a little bit more separate, but now it's you can kind of mix and match.
Yeah.
You really definitely can. So.
And then the tiebreaker, which in pickleball in MLP we call the dream breaker. It's different. It's the doubles.
Right. We call it a team breaker, but a lot of times we say it wrong. We're just we got a dream breaker, team breaker, but it's all doubles because, we just don't want to stress people out. And a lot of people don't train for singles. We didn't want to have people injured, but it's a blind roster. You have to put it in advance. And so it doesn't even have to be, there's 12 matches in a team battle is what we call it. So say if my team plays Scott's team, I'm on OKC, Scott's on Austin. There'll be 6 gender battles and 6 mixed. Is that correct?
Well, you can actually mix it up because you can put
before the team battle, before the team breaker.
Battle, yes.
And so if it's 6 all, you go into the team breaker,
right.
and then you could just. It doesn't have to be the same teams. You could put whoever you want anywhere, but you don't know what the other team's doing.
And is it a 4 points and then you rotate?
2.
Yeah.
It's actually
2 points. Wow.
Well, you have to score 2 points.
2.
Someone has to be up 2, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So
Correct.
when the leading team gets 2, everybody shuffles out, and then when the leading team has 4, shuffles out. Play to 11.
We had an idea to do the battle for Texas, which would be all the big cities in Texas, best players get together. And I couldn't figure out how to have it where it was like a team. This could be a really interesting way of a 14-person team. They play, and then I think it's very
cool,
unique.
yeah.
Fabulous.
It's really stressful
exciting.
and fun.
So you mentioned there being themes, and that one was the rodeo. And before we started filming, you mentioned that Scott was dancing and line dancing, and then we kind of got into Scott's background of dance, which I'd love to hear a little bit about. But then also there's a story that you told us about, which we'll pull up, about at the US Open, you're down and you were dancing. Can you tell us about your passion for dance?
Yeah,
in the
It's
US
the greatest story of all time, by the way.
I started dancing in high school, way before you guys were around. And it was just a lot of fun. And we got into jitterbug and we'd go to high school dances and just dance our heads off. And actually how I kind of won my wife. I taught her to dance. So that's a longer story.
Smooth man.
But in this occasion, it was 2016 US Open. I was in what they call the spectacular bronze medal match. That's how you look it up. Brian the Beard Bosworth. Ashworth, sorry.
Bosworth was the football guy, right?
Yeah. Sorry, Brian. Brian Ashworth and I were playing Marcin Ruspetsky, who I saw after a 5-year absence. He's now playing NPL.
Playing so great, too.
And, yeah, he's always great. He and Daniel used to battle for #1 singles back in the day. Anyway, and Morgan Evans were playing, and they beat us.
Former announcer.
Yes. Yeah, great player at that time. And anyway, we lost the first set. We're down and a little bit out in the second set, and we're at the U.S. Open, that stadium where I first felt like a pro athlete.
Same stadium.
Yeah,
they got
same stadium. Everybody's cheering. There's music on and whatever. And I look up, I see my wife, and she's like, "Come on, dude." And I And I said, come on,
You're losing at this point.
I'm
or-
losing bad. And
Okay.
we're just out of it, right? And I'm like, come on down. And I go to the DJ, hey, can you play a really fast rock and roll song? So he starts playing. I don't even remember the song, but she gets out on the court. She's like, no. I'm like, and I just start dancing with her, and we just start
Are you like
jitterbugging.
going out into the court?
Yeah, I brought her on the court, literally, and the fans are going wild. I mean, it's like, it's
That's
crazy.
so good.
And so, I don't know if I distracted the opponent or just got my mind off my bad pickleball at the time, but we ended up fending off like 3 or 4 match points. One of them I hit a Ernie on, which was crazy. But anyway, win 12-10 that game, get down 6-0 in the third, and come back and win it. And so I really attribute that to that timeout. Totally got my mind off of the pickleball, having fun, just relaxing, being in the moment. And we were able to ride that momentum. So I think it's one of the epic timeouts in pickleball history. You have to check it out.
For sure.
Second game, I was just kind of stressing out, missing some shots, just getting down on myself. So I actually called my wife onto the court, did a little dance from a long time ago, forgot about pickleball for a minute, and it just relaxed me and was able to go back out and really focus and kind of restart the whole game for us.
And how about you? What helped you turn it around in number 2?
I don't remember game number 2. I just remember seeing Scotty dance, and that's relaxing right there. You can't freak out if you see somebody dancing.
The greatest
so you
timeout in
basically
pickleball history.
danced your way
I danced my way
out of
to
a
the bronze
bad,
medal.
out of an
funk.
ugly match. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in a funk.
You guys might have to try it sometime.
That's the real
Right.
title, the greatest timeout in pickleball history.
Yeah.
And I think Roscoe, next time you're down, I
Hey.
mean, you should probably do some.
I've never really been
you're
a
a big break
dancer,
dancer,
but-
right?
You might have to break it out, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Hey, you got to teach me a couple things. All right, I got an interesting question for you guys, for both of you guys. You guys have played a lot of pickleball. You guys clearly have very, very strong strategic brains. Pickleball IQ is very, very high. Let's say you take a PPA player right now. For you, a women's player. For you, a male player. You can take their skills and their athleticism, but you get to put your brain on them. Who are you choosing?
I mean, Anna Lee.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, that's right. You're the,
I mean,
yeah.
I get the girl. So, yeah, I mean, she's...
But I'm talking skills and athleticism. Like, you could pick anyone, but it's your brain. So you might not have Anna Lee's, IQ anymore.
Well...
I mean, she's still the best.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
skills
she's
are-
the best
Yeah.
at everything. I
Yeah.
mean, no offense to there's so many good players. Anna Bright, there's other Georgia Johnson.
Jesse's brain, if you were going to choose a pro brain, I mean, she's one of those knowledgeable.
But
Yes,
I think
very
I think
knowledgeable.
Anna Lee's got to take the cake there.
All right, Roscoe, I'm going to take the liberty of expanding your question just slightly.
Let's do it.
And I'm going to go outside the PPA with a guy that I would love to see play pickleball if he just had the mind for it. Nick Kyrgios.
Wow.
Nick Kyrgios.
So you're saying
I want
you would take his athletic
I
skills
want his
and ability.
athleticism and my brain, and we would be tough. I'm just saying.
He's dabbling in pickleball.
Yeah.
I mean, he did the OnlyFans thing, which was weird in pickleball, and
Yeah, he's
he has a
dabbled,
pickleball
but
team, Miami.
I mean, we'd go all in.
So
with-
do you want to send a message to Nick on the camera here?
Hey, Nick, I would love to see you become the #1 pickleball player in the world, and I can get you there.
You'll train him.
I will train him. I actually, you may not know this, Roscoe, but I had my first experience with coaching a kid that has now made it on the pro tour. Yuta Funimizu.
Yeah, I know
You met
Yuta.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yuta spent 6 months with me. My son Daniel, crazy story, called me a year and a half ago. Hey, I got a Japanese kid. He's the #1 soft tennis player in the world. Wants to be a pickleball pro. I'm like, great. How are you going to train him? He's like, I'm not. I'm sending him to you. And I'm like,
where were you? You're in Arizona?
I was in the States. And I'm like, hey, do you know how busy I am? I plan my schedule a year out. I don't have time. He's like, Dad, he's got a sponsor and he's going to help me. So I need a favor. And I'm like, all right, send him on. So we start spinning. I pick him up in January, a year and a half ago. He'd never really played, but he had this backhand that was absolutely world class. I think
the best hands
I think this
you'll ever
backhand
see.
is better than Ben John's backhand or anybody I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Couldn't dink to save his life, but I'm like, I can teach him that. So we literally spend 4 or 5 hours every day. And I took him everywhere I was going because I had pickleball trips to Belize and Hawaii, and I'm just dragging him all over the place. And we're playing 4 or 5 hours a day and then working out for an hour.
That's
Almost
amazing.
killing each other sometimes because we're both very competitive, right? So our drill sessions would get a little hairy. But he's just so dedicated. He knows what it takes to be #1. And that's what I liked about him. He had been #1 in the world at a sport. He had the dedication. Almost to where I was disappointed at times because we'd be in Hawaii. I'm like, hey, let me show you around Hawaii or whatever. He's like, no, I got to go take a nap. He's just very serious.
Yeah.
But then he graduated from my little mini academy, went on to all the tournament stops, and just kept getting better and better. And finally, this year, realized his dream of getting signed with PPA and drafted MLP. And now he's stepping up, had some really big wins.
Doing really well now.
He's super exciting.
Yeah.
What do you think his ceiling is?
Well, he's 31, so I thought, God, he's a little late. So he's got to do it.
31?
Yeah, he's 31.
That's great for 31.
Right.
I thought he was like 22.
No, the Asians look a little younger. I call it
My girlfriend.
becoming pickleball, the Asian pickleball invasion. It's coming.
I agree.
He's
I
the
agree
first
with
of
you
a wave.
100%. Yep.
But in 5 years,
Kwong, I think, kind of set the standard.
he did.
But I think
he
Utah
set the standard.
is definitely.
But let me say this: the best are yet to come.
Yep.
Because you
Agreed.
haven't seen the Chinese badminton champions and table tennis champions yet. But once it becomes Olympicized, it's coming. And
you think they'll take over?
I mean, I think they'll represent half of the top 10, in 5 to 10 years for sure.
Wow.
No question. Their hands are so fast and they have shots that we've never seen. Tennis is great, especially for singles transition, but I really believe badminton and table tennis and even soft tennis are better for doubles because of their hand speed.
So
Wow.
I was curious about the difference between pickleball then and now. I mean, I'm assuming there's so many drastic differences. What are your thoughts on pickleball now?
You want to take that one?
Well, you've been playing longer than I have, but I mean, obviously the paddles are making things a lot faster. That's the biggest thing I've noticed in just the 4 years that I've been playing.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, I think it's just, things happen in sports evolve. So I don't have a huge thought on that, but I definitely, even just in the beginning, nobody really, you couldn't attack certain balls. I mean, I was a little mad that, I felt like I finally got a little disciplined, coming from tennis. I'm like, can't attack certain balls. And now, like people are, attacking off of their
Bowling
ankles
balls,
and
yeah.
stuff. So it is, it's definitely changing things.
And you, Scott?
Yeah, so, I mean, back in the day when I started, there were 10 companies that made paddles. 5 of them were guys in their garages. And 5 of them were, companies you'd heard of. And now there's how many hundred? I don't even know. So obviously the technology has gone through the roof. I mean, I'm kind of like Beth. I don't know that it's good or bad. I think it's inevitable. The athleticism is incredible.
Definitely.
I mean, the good old days, I would look at the draw and know every single tournament who I would play in the final.
Yep.
Every tournament, the first 5 or 6 years I played. And I never missed it. Now, I'm getting beat by guys I've never seen or heard of before.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And it's like these darn 49-year-olds keep aging into my group, right?
But
So whether that's good or bad?
the paddle technology, because I think a lot of times the barrier to entry each time a new paddle comes out that's more like a tennis racket basically allows players who have that
Absolutely.
tennis background to just swing through
Correct.
players. Because when I first got into pickleball, which was 2023, like it was still pretty recent, there was a lot I couldn't do. And, I used, I would say, one of the first grittier paddles. It was that kind of the Pro XR that had the different...
The Zane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was super spinny. And so I was
Right.
able to hit these top spin serves and able to generate a lot of spin and use this Western grip, which a lot of players had not seen at that time because
Correct.
you couldn't get spin on the ball. Now I feel like with the dwell time, people can actually catch and release a ball and make that ball bend and hit angles that before weren't possible. And so personally, I think the barrier of entry is being lowered because
Absolutely
of
agree
the
with that.
technology.
Totally agree.
And so is that a good thing? Yes, for the growth of pickleball.
I mean,
but is it
I watched
really a
John
good thing?
Lucci
I can see both
Goins'
sides.
match this weekend. And did he end up winning?
He ended up winning.
Like the way he carved the ball,
Yeah,
I've never
it's-
seen anything like it.
it's-
and I thought it was sick. At least in singles, I was like, this is amazing.
It
No,
is
it's
sick.
amazing to watch for sure. And I think it actually makes the sport feel more professional because especially the sound, it's like a little louder. But again, is it what's best for the sport?
It's just different.
I don't think
different
we'll
sport.
ever know. I don't think
It's
there's a right or
different.
wrong
And
answer.
I think that's the answer. It's different, right? And that's what I learned actually the first time I went to Japan. As a 20-year-old kid, I thought the US way is best and everybody else is inferior. And then I learned, wait, it's just different.
Yeah.
Which one's better? I can't say anymore. It's just different.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I would answer that for the paddles.
So
Awesome.
there's the debate always in every sport, right? Is MJ better than LeBron in their prime? who was the best? Was it Kyle Yates for a while?
No, definitely wasn't Kyle.
Are you saying who's the greatest of all time?
No, who was the best like in that earlier era?
In that earlier era?
I mean, Daniel was up there, right?
Yeah, Daniel was for a couple years, and then he maybe 2015 and 2016. Before that, Kyle maybe, Tim, Puppet Master Nelson was in there like 2012, 2013. Wes was kind of in there.
Gabrielson.
Gabrielson. So, when Daniel walked away and went to Japan and broke my heart as the number one player in the world, because I was having more fun watching him win than I was winning myself, and we were both winning almost everything back in 2015 and 2016.
Just to clarify, Daniel's your son for those watching.
Yeah, my oldest son. He said to me, Dad, I'm going to go back to I want to move back to Japan. And I said, wait, you mean you're going to give up your pickleball career? He said, well, I'll come back, and play. And I said, time out. Let me understand this. I don't think there's ever been a professional athlete that's walked away from their sport when they were number one in the world. And you're going to do that? He goes, yeah, Dad, I've been there and done that. I mean, he had won nationals 6 times and US Open and TOC and whatever. And that was his dream.
He didn't realize how much money there was going to be in the sport.
No, I mean, he's done pretty well. So I don't think he's, maybe regretted that a little bit. But, he's living his dream, and you got to let your kids go, which is not easy to do.
Yeah.
But it really worked out. And now he's living his dream. Not necessarily mine, but he's living his dream. And I'm happy for him because he's so fulfilled.
So let's take one of those players, Daniel, Wes, Tim, Kyle. They play Ben in his prime. Is it just a
Ben
drubbing?
beats him, no question. Daniel beat Ben when Ben was 18 at the US Open. First tournament Ben had ever played. Daniel beat him in singles. And we all went, wow, that young kid's going to be good someday. Of course, we had no idea, right? And Daniel beat Tyson coming in, and Daniel beat Kyle. And, but then they were starting to beat each other, and Tyson would beat, and they were more dedicated. And, Tyson probably 2017 was best. Ben took him till 2019 or 2020. But, it's fun to see different people that get to be, whatever, number one for a season, and how other people come. And I'm totally amazed by Ben, even more so by Anna Lee, how long they've been able to stay on top. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
You told me one time how you got Daniel. You said, I'm going to train you and you're going to train me. That's a pretty interesting story, I think.
Yeah, my biggest break in pickleball, my career, was in 2014 when Daniel, who had played collegiate tennis at Azusa Pacific in LA, moved back from Kenya, where he'd lived for 2 years. And he wasn't sure what he was going to do with himself. So I said, hey, I found a new sport. It's called pickleball. And he kind of laughed at me. What is that? I said, well, it's a new sport. And I think if you'll train with me for 6 months, you will become a national champion.
Wow.
And I promise you, I guarantee you, 100%, you'll never, ever in your entire life have another chance to be a national champion. What do you think? He goes, I'm in.
Wow.
And so the little sucker after a week was beating me, which was frustrating in singles because I've been playing a year and a half, and he already started beating me after a week and a half. And then, but we trained and we got to nationals that year and we just destroyed everybody.
Wow.
He beat Wes, I think the gold medal match for the 4th time that week because he won the 19 plus and the Open Pro. He beat Wes like 0-1 in the gold medal match. Wes literally sat down next to me. We were on the court watching and said, hey, I lost the first game. I've lost 7 straight sets to him or games. What do I have to do to beat him? And I looked at him and I said, it's simple, Wes. All you got to do is hit the line every time.
Yeah.
and he laughed. Well, Les and I have been good friends ever since. But that was, the good old days. And basically, yeah.
And then the other thing that you told me, sorry to take over here, but
no.
The story about you and your father and your son all winning.
Yeah. The following year, Daniel's grandfather, my stepfather, who was 87 or 88 at the time, won the 85 plus singles the same day that Daniel won the 19 plus singles and I won the 50 plus singles. So 3 generations of gold medals in the same family. That may not happen again. And that's one of my most proud memories because my stepdad has gone to heaven to be with the Lord now and looking down on us from hopefully some pickleball paradise up there.
Yeah.
But another crazy fact about it is he played mixed doubles with Doris.
Oh, wow, that's right.
They were
talked
the
about that.
oldest team in history. That's Anna
Doris
Shirley's
Castaneda,
mother.
by the way, our old neighbor.
How old was she?
She was, I think she was like 91.
Are there
He
different
was
are there
87.
different rules? Because I know with adaptive you can bounce twice. It's the same.
They didn't have adaptive rules, but they didn't move that well. But if the ball came to them,
Oh, they were
Doris had
clean.
great hands.
Yeah,
I mean, they were
clean.
great, and they were
Yeah.
so fun to watch together. And that's when I first met Anna. And
That's right.
Such a memory that I cherish. And that's the reason, one of the many reasons I love pickleball, because it's a lifetime sport. There aren't many.
And it's
But
intergenerational.
and it's multi-generational. I love seeing kids play with their grandparents, and I loved seeing my wonderful stepfather play 4 or 5 times a week after his 91st birthday.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So I always tell people the reason I gave up singles, Roscoe, is because I'm training for the 90s.
There we go. There we go, baby. Well,
So.
I think, obviously OGs of the game, people who have, been around in the pickleball space for a while. As pickleball moves forward and evolves, what would you like to see more of? What would you like to kind of tell the future pickleballers to focus on? And what do you hope that people take away from this amazing sport as it keeps growing?
For me, it is nice to, like you guys said, after kind of raising our families and having some time for ourselves, just to be able to, kind of do something for ourselves that's fun, keeps you in shape, gets you out with people, it's social. So I think, just getting the word out about that anybody can do it. And even if you're just on the couch and you happen to see some, pickleballers on TV or, just out at your local park, it's such a great sport for everyone. And I would just like to get that message out, really.
It's beautiful.
For me, it's just the most fun I've ever had in a sport. I think it is the most fun sport that's ever been. And the team thing, thank you, Beth, for giving us the opportunity, is even more fun than individual tournaments. So it just can be the most fun you ever have. Some days I don't even realize I'm getting in great shape because I'm playing pickleball 3 or 4 hours a day, just having the time of my life. And then ultimately, Roscoe, it would be this, that John Anderson, my friend, told me early on in my career when I was starting to really win a lot of pickleball tournaments. He said, Scott, don't ever, ever forget it's all about the relationships. And the times that I have forgotten that, because I got so focused on winning a match, and I said something to my partner or got mad at an opponent, I've had regrets, and I've had to go back and humble myself and apologize and ask forgiveness. And, those are the only regrets I have, when I've just forgotten what's really the most important part. But the relationships, the friendships, the people around the world, and that's where it's getting so much better, is now you can go anywhere in the world and make a friend.
Yeah.
You may not be able to speak to them, but you can play pickleball and have a great time. And that's what we do at Pickleball Trips, part of that journey. But it's just the greatest way to make a friend that I know of.
Agree.
And we're so blessed
That's
with all
amazing.
these friends. And some of them are 8 years old.
Yep.
And some of them are 80 something. And they may be, Chinese or whatever, but it's the great encounter maker, if you will.
Yeah.
The best way I know to have these
I
joyful,
love that.
meaningful, competitive, social, even spiritual encounters with people is on a
love that.
pickleball court.
I have a selfish question or a personal question. How do you stay injury free? And even I have an injury, but like as you get older, how do you not feel so sore? Like, what are some of the tricks? 'Cause you're playing 3-4 hours a day. I play 2 hours. I'm a little younger, but like I get so sore. Any tips for people?
Well, I've seen Scott work. I mean, this guy is religious about his taking care of his body. I mean,
Yeah, I think, I always told my kids, champions are made off the court. You have to really work hard and be proactive about your fitness. So that's diet, that's sleep, that's workout, that's, training, stretching, all that kind of stuff. So I spend an hour a day, at least, on training. I also use what's called blood flow restriction training bands, which limits the oxygen into your muscles. So your muscles have to work harder than they normally do. It's kind of like living in Colorado. When I first went to Colorado, Daniel and I were playing tennis and I could barely breathe. And then a couple months later, it's like, wow, we adapted. Our VOC max got stronger. And these training bands have done that for my muscles and cardio, what Colorado did for my lungs. So I feel fortunate to have the best of all worlds kind of working for me. And been using those about 6 years. So that's taken me to another level of fitness and injury
that.
prevention.
Thank you.
Incredible.
Beth?
same thing. Just, I think you guys know I had ACL reconstruction in late 2023. And coming back from that was a lot of work. We did use the BFR.
Oh, did you?
In that in recovery.
Yes.
That's great that I know a lot of NBA players, they're using that regularly now.
Pro football
It's pretty
players.
cool.
I mean, lots of athletes are
Yeah.
using them, both for rehab and
That's
training.
where it's tightening your muscle, right?
It tightens
It reduces
around it.
the
so
blood flow.
And then,
so the oxygen
I use that in
gets
my
depleted.
my rehab.
Yeah, great for rehab and for fitness as
Yeah.
well as general health. But
Right. Yeah, but in general, just, I have a trainer. Whether I like it or not, I go either for, having something fixed or just to do prehab, a routine. And, now I've gotten to the point where even in between, we're playing start and stop so many times during our NPL matches, for instance. We'll have basically 4 matches a day, but like maybe an hour in between each one. And now I'm to the point where, I'll break out my bands before each one, just kind of doing my little routine, getting on the mat, and then again afterwards. So I think as you get older, you definitely have to do more just to keep up it's not just all before the tournament starts, it's during the tournament, it's after the tournament. So,
Invaluable advice from champions.
yeah.
Shout out Elevate Physical Therapy. It's my mom's like home away from home, even
True.
when we're in LA. So
True.
we spent a lot of time there as a family. But yeah,
Well, this was awesome. I just love hearing the stories and all. And I feel like there was so much family encapsulated in this episode and conversation. So just loved it. Such a different kind of conversation than what we've had, and really appreciate y'all's time and
Thanks,
and
Jared.
for being
It's
here.
Thank you
it's
so
a
much.
pleasure to be with you guys. Thank
Yeah.
you.
thanks so much for coming on. And I think it also gives people another look. We have a lot of, the younger pros, the PPA pros on here. And I think a lot of people don't realize that pickleball is I feel like, birthed from the 50 plus age group.
Yeah.
That's really who brought this sport to life. And there's this whole world of players who are crushing it and creating community, creating businesses, and lifelong memories every single day. And that's how these younger players are getting into the sport. I got into the sport from my mom. Daniel got into the sport from you, and I think that will keep on happening. So thanks, guys, so much for coming on, and it'll be exciting to see you guys achieve more, which is almost crazy to even say.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much, Roscoe. Yeah.